At first, no one called him a monster. They call him a genius. His videos appeared everywhere. Phones, billboards, conference screens. A calm voice. Perfect posture. Eyes that looked like they understood you. He spoke about success, discipline, and power of the mind. Millionisten. They trusted him. People said he changed lives. People said he saved them. But fame has a shadow. Behind the stage lights, there was a man who never slept. He spent nights alone in dark rooms, watching old recordings of himself. Not to improve, to listen. He replayed the moments where audiences went silent, where breath slowed, where eyes stopped blinking. That silence fascinated him. He learned that words could do more than inspire. They could enter people. Soon his speeches changed. Subtle pauses, long stares, sentences that didn't end, just lingered. Some listeners reported strange dreams after watching his talks. Others felt drained, as if something had been taken from them. But they kept watching, because he made them feel chosen. His followers grew into millions. His name became a brand. But those close to him noticed something disturbing. He no longer smiled naturally. He mirrored emotions, like an actor studying a role. One assistant quit without explanation. Another stopped speaking completely. When asked, he only said, "People give me more than attention." Then he disappeared from public events. No forward, no explanation, just silence. And silence. After his disappearance, strange things began to surface. At first, they were small details. Easy to ignore, easy to explain away. Old fans started re-watching his speeches late at night. Not for motivation, but because they couldn't stop. Some reported hearing whispers between pauses. Not voices exactly, more like thoughts that didn't feel like their own. One man claimed that after listening with headphones, he felt someone standing behind him, even when he was alone. Forums filled with stories. People spoke of exhaustion, of losing time, of waking up with sentences written in notebooks they didn't remember touching. The words were always similar. Listen carefully. Don't interrupt. He is still speaking. Meanwhile, inside his abandoned headquarters, security cameras recorded movement. Lights turned on by themselves. Chairs moved inches at a time. A single room was always warm, even in winter. That room was his old recording studio. Former staff refused to enter it. One editor finally broke his silence. He said that during the last months, the man had stopped recording normally. Instead, he would sit in complete darkness. No script, no notes, just silence and then sudden speech. The editor confessed something terrifying. Sometimes, the audio kept recording even after he left. And in that silence, there was breathing. Slow, calm, patient, as if something was waiting for the next listener. Weeks passed, and the world forgot almost. But there were whispers among the journalists who had tried to find him. They spoke of tapes, old hard drives, and forgotten digital files. No one knew what they contained until someone dared to listen. The recordings weren't speeches anymore. They weren't motivational. They were confessions, fragmented, whispering, almost alive. One journalist described it like this. At first, it sounded normal. Then the pauses stretched unnaturally. The words twisted in your mind. I could feel the room change around me, like the air itself was listening. Some tapes had hours of silence. Some had his voice low, repeating the same phrase. He waits for those who truly listen. Listeners began noticing changes. Dreams of dark corridors, shadows moving just outside peripheral vision, a cold weight pressing on their chest. Even computers glitched while playing the files. Screens flickered. Files duplicated themselves. Timestamps were impossible to read. It was as if something inside the recordings didn't want to be ignored. Those brave enough to investigate claimed, "He isn't in the building, he's in the sound itself." A former staff member swore that on one night, a complete recording played without anyone pressing play. It went on for hours. When it ended, he felt different, hollow, as if a piece of him had stayed behind in the tape. No one knew who sent the email. It arrived late at night with no sender name, no photo, just one chilling line. "If you want the truth, come alone." The location was an abandoned recording studio at the city's edge, once used for live shows and interviews. Now forgotten, dust-covered, and silent. The journalist hesitated. This personality, The man whose voice had inspired millions had vanished months ago. Officially, he was taking a break, but rumors whispered otherwise. Inside the studio, the air felt heavy. Dust floated in beams of moonlight, frozen like time itself. Then the lights flickered on. He was there, smiling, older, thinner, but unmistakable. The same face millions had trusted. He spoke softly. "You came late, but not too late." The journalist noticed something odd. No cameras were connected. No microphones were recording. Only a single recorder sat on the table. He leaned forward. "I built my empire by teaching people how to conquer fear," he said. "But fear was always inside me." His eyes didn't blink. "I've learned something," he whispered. "When people listen deeply, they give you pieces of themselves." The lights flickered again. The recorder started by itself. That's when the journalist realized. This wasn't an interview. This was a confession. And once it started, it could never be stopped. He continued, voice calm, almost hypnotic. "Everyone thinks inspiration is harmless. But inspiration is a bridge. It connects one mind to another. And sometimes it takes more than it gives." The journalist shivered. The shadows in the room stretched unnaturally. The air felt thick, like the recorder was absorbing the room itself. A sudden whisper came from the speaker. "Do you really want to understand me?" The journalist could only nod. The man smiled wider, and the silence began to speak. The lights dimmed completely. Only the recorder's red, blinking light remained. A low hum filled the studio. The journalist's heart pounded. The man's voice came again, calm, almost soothing. "Do you know why I disappeared?" The journalist shook his head, unable to speak. "Because inspiration is not just words," he whispered. "It is presence. And presence can live beyond the body." The temperature dropped. Breath formed clouds. Shadows stretched unnaturally. The walls themselves seemed to lean closer. The journalist looked at the recorder. It was no longer recording him. It was recording the room itself, capturing time, air, and thoughts. He realized, with growing horror, that the man on the chair was not entirely there. The face smiled, but his eyes reflected centuries. The voice was human, but the presence was not. It had grown stronger through every speech, every listener, every confession. "You thought you were interviewing me," he said softly. "But the truth is that I am in the words. I am in the silence. And now you are too." The journalist felt a pull, like something invisible was drawing him forward. Not physically, mentally. A piece of him, his awareness, began to dissolve into the recorder. The room trembled. The lights flickered. The whispers multiplied, dozens of voices overlapping, repeating. "Listen carefully, don't stop, never stop." Panic rose. The journalist tried to leave. The door slammed shut, but it wasn't a door that blocked him. It was the presence itself, holding him in place. Then silence. When the building was found the next morning, the journalist was gone. Only the recorder remained. The tape was labeled neatly, "For the next listener." And faintly, in the background, if one listened closely, a voice whispered,